Give Kojima Productions credit. It's not afraid to take its Metal Gear Solid franchise in a totally new direction on the PSP, replacing the traditional sneaking action with a card-based game. But fans have been clamoring for a more traditional Metal Gear experience on the PSP, and Kojima's group has finally obliged with Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. The big question is, will the standard MGS formula work on the small screen? After all, the system has had trouble with fully 3D games in the past, and more importantly, does the PSP have the battery life to make it all the way through those notoriously long cinema scenes Metal Gear is known for? Well, this new PSP game doesn't need to deal with those epic story segments as much. They're still here in Portable Ops, but they've been cut down dramatically in favor of a more text-based exposition. The story picks up a few years after the events of Metal Gear Solid 3, where we find Naked Snake, aka Big Boss, waking up in a prison cell, unaware of his location, being interrogated by a one-legged man about a missing World War II war chest. As you'd expect from any Metal Gear game, the story only gets more and more convoluted from there, slowly unraveling until the end. Longtime series fans will love this, though, as the shades of former games start to show themselves throughout the plot, from the obvious, such as Roy Campbell's introduction at the beginning of the game, to the more subtle feeling about exactly where this whole story is taking place, and what it's leading to. Is this compound the precursor to Outer Heaven, the mercenary nation that the original Metal Gear title was set in? Are we seeing the seeds of Big Boss's fall from grace? If you're one of those people who have little patience for the general weirdness and plot twists of a typical Metal Gear game, chances are Portable Ops will irritate you as much as the rest of it. My arm! But for those who let themselves get caught up in these admittedly strange stories, you won't be disappointed. So does the standard Metal Gear formula work on the PSP? Well, Portable Ops doesn't really answer that question. Rather than giving Snake a giant military compound to grind his way through, Portable Ops instead is split up into multiple small mission areas that Snake and his personal army can travel to and from at will. The idea being that each mission takes a couple of minutes at the most to complete, giving you a chance to stop and save your game frequently. It's something a lot of developers never seem to get right with portable games based on properties birthed on the consoles. And yes, we said Snake has an army. The most radical departure here is that Snake can now capture and recruit enemy soldiers, figuring out their abilities and placing them in various units. Set up a few different sneaking units and you can tackle each mission by swapping between 4 different characters on the fly. Put together spy units to gather intel on different areas on the peninsula, revealing when and where you can pick up the best weapons, or what area you should be tackling next. Task some of your recruits to generate new weapons, or better medical supplies. There's a really interesting RPG mechanic here that works surprisingly well in a Metal Gear context. But recruiting members doesn't have to be done strictly in the campaign mode. Find a Wi-Fi hotspot or GPS server, and you can use it to generate a unique character for your game as well. Then put those characters into one of your teams, or take them online for one of a handful of multiplayer games. It's an undeniably cool feature that ensures your Portable Ops experience will be unique to anyone else's. But like so many PSP games before it, Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops has some issues in the control department. Since the game takes on the over-the-shoulder camera system of MGS3, rather than the top-down view of the previous games, the viewing angle is always an issue. The digital pad and analog nub cover Snake's movement and camera control, and manipulating both at the same time in a functional way is basically an impossibility. In a game where the main focus is trying to stay out of sight, 360 degrees of awareness is paramount, and you just don't have it at your fingertips with Portable Ops. It becomes really frustrating, not only to navigate through some of the tight quarters in this game, but to be discovered time and time again because there was no realistic way of knowing that an enemy soldier was going to be able to see you. There's a noise-based radar that can let you keep general tabs on the enemies, but it doesn't provide near enough information. The control issues don't necessarily ruin the game, and the difficulty is set so that it's relatively easy to wait out each alert until it's safe to poke your head out and start moving again, but it's not really fun to have to play that way. Online play is a whole other story. Much like Metal Gear Solid 3, any enjoyment you get from playing online will be in spite of the frustrating control scheme. You get a handful of the typical deathmatch and capture the flag variety, which gives Portable Ops the staying power a lot of PSP games simply don't have. With so much going for it, having to wrestle with the controls in Portable Ops is a real shame. It simply tries to do too much with too little, and while not a deal breaker, it definitely makes the experience a lot less fun than it could be. On the upside, It'll be interesting to see how the new recruitment system works in the long run, and hopefully Kojima Productions refines it to include it in future iterations of the franchise. And despite its shortcomings, there's no denying that Portable Ops is one of the more fulfilling, polished games on the system.